Hello and welcome to Unacademy. Welcome to this special session where we are going to talk about all the various different places in news which are important for your examination, be it for the prelims as well as for the mains exam. All those who are even preparing for geography as an optional can take a look at this particular video and thereby prepare for the map pointing even for the optional. Now, in this particular session, we are going to cover all the areas of map pointing which have been relevant for the month of May 2025. Now, from next month onwards, do make a schedule that on first Saturday of every month, you will have a video regarding places in news, and on second Saturday, you will have a video regarding all the various species in news. Why we are doing this? Because it has been found that most of the candidates before the prelims examination, they run helter and skelter in order to find which are the areas or the places for map pointing that they should concentrate upon. However, if you take a look at the trend of the questions that UPSC does put in front of you for the prelims examination, the questions of map pointing are actually the places which have remained in news for the past year and a half. So, from today onwards, do make it a habit to maintain a separate catalog and do revise all these places in news regularly. Along with these places in news, we shall also be having a discussion of some of the MCQs which can be framed from this particular topic. Now, if you want to download the PDF of this particular video along with the annotations, you can download it from the Telegram channel and the link which is provided here. Now, when we talk about the places which were in discussion and which were in news throughout the month of May, there are 12 such places which are relevant for your exams. Now, out of them, you will find 10 of these almost, other than Mount Makalu, they are the ones in India, the places in news in India. And Niger and Nigeria, they have been in news across the globe. So, accordingly, we shall be discussing why they are in news and also the associated areas in the periphery with these particular topics. Now, first of all, Tulbul Project and Buglihar and Salal Dams. Now, these were in news in the last month of May, owing to the fact that India decided to put the Indus Water Treaty in abeyance owing to the Pahalgam attack, which was caused upon us by the Pakistan state sponsored terrorism. Now, the Tulbul Project, what that is something that we will cover first, and then we will cover the Buglihar and the Salal dams. But when we talk about the Buglihar, Salal Dam, and the Tulbul project, all of these basically are associated with the Indus River system. Now, starting with the Buglihar and Salal Dam, in fact, if you take a look at it, first of all, the location of them. So, this is where you will have the Buglihar Dam and then the Salal Dam. Now, why this has been in news? Owing to the fact that India decided to basically clean up some of the gates and sluices from some of these water storage structures. That led to a release of substantial amount of waste and also water into the region downstream in Pakistan, which created a lot of havoc. Now, while it is important for you to know the location of the Baglihar and the Salal Dam as well, it is also important for you to understand about the Indus River system with the help of them. But before that, let us also get an understanding of what is that Tulbul project. Now, Tulbul project was initiated way back in the 80s. Now, the idea was to build a barrage across the Vular Lake, which is the largest freshwater lake in our country. Now, why is it that we wanted to build a barrage? Barrage basically means construction of gates in order to allow the storage of water. Now, in this particular Tulbul project, the aim was initiated that at least you will have enough amount of water storage not only in the Vular Lake, but accordingly, you will also be able to maintain some amount of flow into the river downstream, which will not only make the river navigable throughout the year, but at the same time, it will allow for generation of hydroelectricity. Now, having said that, when the project was announced and initiated, there was a lot of opposition from Pakistan. Now, throughout the 90s, that opposition continued to get exaggerated. Now, over a period of time, this project was abandoned. Now, in the past month, there was a political sparring which happened regarding the reinitiation of the Tulbul project. So, first of all, Tulbul project is associated with which water body? It is associated with the Vuller Lake, which again, now the construction of the barrage on this particular Vuller Lake would allow the flow of water and maintenance of a substantial amount of draft in the Jhelum River as well. So Vuller Lake eventually feeds into the Jhelum River. And here around the region of Uri is where you have the Uri 1 and Uri 2 hydroelectric projects, which could also have been, in a way, beneficial of this storage of water. So conceived in the early 80s, work began on the Tulbul Project in 1984 on River Jhelum, and that too on the mouth of Vuller Lake. UPSC had asked a previous year question on this as well regarding the linkage of Vuller Lake and River Jhelum, India's largest freshwater lake, where near Sopore. Now, it envisaged building a navigation lock cum gated control structure like a barrage below the Vuller Lake near Ningli to stabilize Jhelum's water level so that the river Jhelum becomes navigable. During the winter months, as we have already talked about, the water level goes low due to the freezing of the glacial waters earlier. As a consequence of that, it does not remain navigable at all. The government proposed to construct a 439 feet long and 40 feet wide barrage with a storage capacity of 0.3 million acre feet. Now, the barrage, once completed, would have regulated the water of the Vuller Lake to maintain a minimum draft of 4.4 feet, which would have made it navigable. This minimum draft would have ensured round the year navigation over the 20-kilometer stretch. Having said that, it is not only sufficient to know about the Salal, Buglihar, the Kishanganga, and Tulbul. The river system in news is the Indus River system. When we talk about the Indus River system, as per the Indus River Treaty, basically the sharing of the water has been agreed to and had been agreed to a situation where the water of the western rivers, that is River Indus, Jhelum, and Chenab, there we had a very limited control. So it is important for you to know about River Indus and its tributaries, and also important to know about the origin of these streams. Where do they originate? Now, when we talk about River Indus, it is an antecedent river. It is something which originates from the region around Mansarovar Lake in the region of Tibet. Then it enters the region of India. And after that, basically, you will observe that it enters, taking a southward bend into Pakistan. Now, this river has got a lot of small tributaries on its right bank, or the right hand side. Basically, the Himalayan tributaries that it has, small in terms of its length and not very consequential. But then it is on the left hand side, that is the left bank, where you have the major tributary. That is the Panjnath, that is the five rivers. That is, when we talk about from north to south, you have Jhelum, Chenab, Satluj, Ravi, and Byas. These are the rivers. Now, when we talk about Satluj, Ravi, and Byas, they are the ones where we can utilize the water. But in terms of Indus, Jhelum, and Chenab, we have limited control. Putting the Indus Water Treaty in abeyance allows us to build certain storage structures and utilize these rivers also in a greater manner, which will bring greater availability of water in the region of Jammu and Kashmir. Now, one thing that I want you to notice here very carefully is basically that how these rivers, they also end up forming international boundaries, also sometimes referred to as the frontier rivers. So basically, if you take a look at the zoomed in map, you will observe that even River Jhelum, for that matter, look at River Jhelum here. River Jhelum, to certain extent, forms a boundary between India and Pakistan. This is also what is known as a natural frontier, where a river or a mountain forms the boundary between different nations. That is also what is known as the natural frontier or a natural boundary. So, River Jhelum forms one of those. You will also find that to some extent across River Chenab, River. Then, when you talk about Ravi, Ravi for a considerable distance forms the boundary between India and Pakistan. River Satluj also forms a boundary between India and Pakistan. But when we talk about River Byas is one of those streams of River Indus which completely drains only within India. That is, it originates within India and merges within India itself. So Bias does not form an international boundary between India and Pakistan. Now, having said that, what do you need to know about the Indus River system other than that? So it is the tributaries that you need to know. So the Himalayan tributaries, Shyok, Gilgit, Zaskar, Hunza, Nubra, Shigar, Dras, these are the small Himalayan tributaries, the mountainous streams where the flow varies with the passing of the season due to freezing and melting of ice and glaciers. Now, right bank tributaries, you have River Kabul, which flows all the way from the region of Afghanistan. And that makes Indus River system one of those which drains through four different countries. Which are those countries? Originating from the region of Tibet, that is China, then India, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. These are the four different countries that the Indus River system covers. When we talk about the left bank tributaries, you basically have the rivers that we have been talking about, the combination of five rivers, which is also known as Panjnath. That is Jhelum, Chenab, Satluj, Ravi, and Byas. Okay? Out of that, only Byas is the one which drains completely within India. So, within this lecture itself, the aim is to help you recollect and memorize from end to end. Now, when we talk about the origin source, these are the various origins. For example, Indus. Indus originates from the Bokharchu glacier near Lake Mansarovar. When we talk about Jhelum after that, Jhelum originates from the Verinag glacier and then through the Vular Lake region, then moves to the further downstream area. Chenab. Chenab originates from the region of Lahaul Spiti from the Baralacha Pass. And it originates as Chandra and Bhaga, which then join together, combine to form the river Chenab. Then Satluj originates from the Rakastal near Mansarovar. Then you have river Ravi, which originates from the Kulu Hills near again the Rohtang Pass in Himachal Pradesh. Why do I say again Rohtang Pass? Because Byas also originates from the other side of the Rohtang Pass. So Ravi and Byas, both of them originate close to the Rohtang Pass. And then you have Satluj from Rakastal. So when we talk about the antecedent rivers, so Indus and Satluj, they are the antecedent rivers that they originate in the region of Tibet and then they drain into India, then eventually into Pakistan. Now, all of them they combine together and they meet River Indus at Mithankot, Pakistan. Now, let us take a look at the practice question which can be framed. Which of the following rivers form a boundary between India and Pakistan? So, here Jhelum, Chenab, Satluj, and Byas. How many of them form a boundary, international boundary between India and Pakistan? Take a look at the options and let me know the correct answer in the comment section below. You can mark question 1 and this is the answer. Accordingly, you can evaluate how many questions do you get correct. You can also get a question regarding match the following about the river streams and where they originate. Okay, so that is your coverage of the Indus Water Treaty and the news associated with Indus Water Treaty when it comes to geography. Now, then the second area in news, that is Dev Prayag. In the region of Dev Prayag, one of the longest rail tunnels that we have been constructing, that has neared completion. And that is the Dev Prayag Janasu region in Uttarakhand. Now, there a breakthrough has been achieved by construction of the tunnel from end to end, which had been met with severe amount of interruptions owing to inflow of water from various different areas, and there were various different accidents which also happened. But finally, the project has been completed. Now, it is a part of the 14.57-kilometer rail link from Rishikesh and the Karnaprayag rail link. Now, the region of Dev Prayag, Karn Prayag, these are in news, which makes all the Panch Prayags in Uttarakhand again important for your examination. Panch Prayags. So, what is a Prayag? Prayag basically refers to those particular areas where two streams they have their confluence, they have their meeting point. So, this shall bring the rail connectivity beyond the regions of Haridwar and Rishikesh. So this is the existing line of the railways that you will observe. Haridwar and further up till Rishikesh. But beyond that, you don't have rail connectivity in the mountain. Now, the aim is to continue it all the way till the region of Karnaprayag, going through the region of Devprayag, Srinagar, Janasu, and so on. So, here, what are the important Panch Prayags when we talk about Uttarakhand? And accordingly, you also have the Char Dham. So, what are the Panch Prayags? There are the five one of them, as the name goes. So, first of all, we have to understand that River Ganga is on which all these Prayags are situated. River Ganga originates as Alaknanda and Bhagirathi. Bhagirathi is the one which originates from the region of Gangotri, the Gomukh Glacier. That is where Bhagirathi originates. Meanwhile, Alaknanda originates from the Satopant Glacier near Badrinath. Now, as Alaknanda starts draining further down the hills, it is met by the first stream, that is Dholi Ganga. That Dholi Ganga meets it at Vishnu Praya. So that becomes a region of conflict. Following that, it is then joined by the river Nandakini. Nandakini, originating from the region of Nanda Devi, meets Alaknanda at Nandaprayag. Easy to recall, Nandakini, Nandaprayag. Dholi Ganga, Vishnu Prayag. Then you have from the other side of Nanda Devi, origin of another stream, that is Pindar Ganga. Now that Pindar Ganga meets Alaknanda at Karnaprayag. This is the Karnaprayag that we are talking about. Okay, so Karnaprayag is the meeting point of Pindar Ganga and Alaknanda. So that becomes important for your exam. Then you have Mandakini, which is originating from the glaciers near Kedarnath. That ends up joining Alaknanda from the right bank at the region of Rudraprayag. So that is Rudraprayag. And then eventually, the fifth Prayag of it all, that is where you have the eventual meeting and culmination of Mandakini, or rather, the Bhagirathi. So Bhagirathi and Alaknanda, they will meet with each other at Dev Prayag. And then after that, you have the stream of river Ganga. So these are the Panch Prayags. You should recall the rivers and the point of conflict. A match the following kind of question can be asked. So you have Vishnu Prayag, where you have Dholi Ganga and Alaknanda. Then you have Nand Prayag, where you have Nandakini and Alaknanda. Then Karna Prayag, where Pindar Ganga and Alaknanda. Then you have Rudra Prayag, where Bhagirathi meets with Alaknanda. Then Dev Prayag, where Gangotri, or rather Bhagirathi meets with Alaknanda at Dev Prayag. At the region of Rudraprayag, you have Mandakini, which meets with Alaknanda. Okay, so these are the points of conflict. If you take a look at the practice question, a similar kind of question you can expect in the exam also. Consider the following confluence of the rivers, and you have to find out that whether they are matched properly or not. So Dholi Ganga and Alaknanda, Vishnu Praya, Mandakini and Alaknanda, Karnapraya, Nandakini and Mandakini, Nandapraya. To find out which is the correct answer, put it in the comment section, the question. Now, moving on to the third place in news, that is Digha. Now, Digha in West Bengal has been in news owing to basically the naming of the shrine, the Jagannath Dham. Now, that has led to a controversy erupting between West Bengal and the state of Odisha. So, naming of Digha shrine sparks controversy, and that is where the Odisha government also has basically told and conveyed to West Bengal that it is not very happy with the naming of the shrine. But for us, the controversy is not important. For us, what is important is the location of Digha and more importantly, the streams draining in the nearby region. So when you take a look at Digha, this is where you have the region of Digha. Now, very close to it, on the western side, you will find that river Subarnarekha ends up draining, forming an estuarine ecosystem here. So that is river Subarnarekha. Immediately next to it, you have a smaller stream that is river Champa. Okay, so they do end up forming these large estuaries. But then, as you move slightly to the east from Digha, this is Digha, then you have the Mandarbani. These are all important tourist places, important for your optional, by the way. Now, here you will find River Hooghly. Now, Hooghly River, carrying a lot of these sediments and mud, that ends up forming a kind of an island of deposits. That is where Sagar Island and Ganga Sagar Island, that becomes important. This is an important area for pilgrimage, where on the eve of Makar Sankranti, you have large amount of devotees who flock to this Sagar Island. That is created as a result of deposition. Okay, by which river? By river Hooghly. Okay, so let us take a look at the practice question. Consider the following statements. Hooghly and Subarnarekha being distributaries of river Ganga drains into the Bay of Bengal. Now, these streams carrying large amount of deposits form deltas and riverine islands than estuary. Which of these statements is or are correct? That is where you have to put the correct answer. Okay. Now, after this, the next area and the next region in news, and that is the Vinium Port. Now, Vinium Port was inaugurated, and that had created a large amount of optimism in the region owing to its huge potential when it comes to regional trade and being one of the hubs of that regional trade. Now, when we talk about the Vinium Port, it is a deep water port. Now, in India, the problem is that majority of the ports that we have and the port networks that we have, there the depth is not very much. So, if the depth is not significant, that means its ability to handle larger ships is limited. Because when we talk about larger ships, right, which are known by the unit TEUs, that is the container size that it can carry. Now, these larger ships, they have a substantial area submerged underwater as well. For that, they need a draft depth closer to the coastline. Now, ports like Kamrajar Port and on the eastern coast, they need regular dredging in order to take away the dirt and the sedimentation which happens to get deposited in the port region and the coastal area. Vinium Port will become one of the southernmost ports of India, and it is very close to international maritime lines and international maritime trade routes. And as a consequence, it will provide as a hub of opportunity for economic growth in the area. If provided with proper connectivity to the rest of the freight corridors that we have in our country, this can lead to economic boom in the region of Kerala. Now, this Vinium port is situated very close to the capital city of Tiruvananthapuram. But hold on. When we talk about Vinium Port, this is also vital for your history preparation. Because Vinium Port is not something which has been developed overnight. It had a historical significance in the region. And how do we know about it? So, this is something where basically you have the older records as so, the town of Vinium in Kerala has played a crucial role in the history of global maritime trade. Inscriptions from the Pandya Chola era records Vinium as the Rajendra Chola Pattinam, a port of Kerala. So important for your history. You have the ports which are regularly asked, historical ports regularly asked in the prelims exam as well. Historians claim that Balita, a port with considerable commercial importance, finds its mention in the 1st century AD historical travelogue, The Periplus of the Erythraean Sea, is actually Virinium's old name. The old name is Balita. Now, the significance or the relevance presently. Currently, around 75% of India's transshipment cargo is handled at ports of Colombo, Singapore, and Klang. Transshipment. What do we mean by transshipment? To understand this very briefly, let's suppose we know that Indian ports cannot handle larger containers owing to the limited depth. So, what happens is these larger containers and the vessels carrying these containers they dock in the port of Colombo or Singapore or Klang. Where is Klang, by the way? Klang is a port in Malaysia. That is where Klang is situated. Now, when you have these larger ships docking here, then the containers are transported into smaller vessels, and these smaller vessels then they come to the India. Thereby, India tends to lose a lot of time and revenue as well. So, all these issues will be put into abeyance once you have the proper utilization of the Vinium port. Now, amongst all existing Indian ports, Vinium is the one which is closest to the international shipping routes, located just 10 nautical miles from the global maritime trading. route, which will make it an ideal port of call for the Indian mainland. And that is where the economic potential is huge. Already, whatever was estimated as the traffic on this port, that has been exceeded. There has been an accident as well, due to which also Vinium Port had been in use throughout the month of now. Other than that, you also need to know the important ports and the major ports across the country. So basically, when we talk about the Vinium Port, first of all, Vinium Port is situated somewhere. Yeah, this is where Vinium Port will be situated. Now, the ports across the western coastline of India, they start all the way from the Kandla port, which is also the northernmost port of India. It is situated slightly to the north of the region of Haldia. Okay, so Kandla port becoming the northernmost port. Then you have Mumbai, JNPT. Then you have the region of Panji, Marmagao. Then Mangalore, Kochi, and then Virinium. Then on the eastern side, you have Tuticorin. Then you have Ennore, Kabrajar, and Chennai. Then you have Vishakhapatnam, Paradeep, and these are the major ports that again is important for your prelims. What kind of question can be asked? A question can be asked which of them are on the western coast, which of them are on the eastern coast, or a simple arrangement from north to south can also be framed. Arrange the following ports from north to south. You have Virinium, Kamrajar, and Kochi. Take a look at these options. Let me know what the correct answer is in the comment section below. Then, the next area in news, that is the Kaleshwaram Lift Project. Now, Kaleshwaram Lift Project is one of those irrigational lift projects which is being constructed and which was initially conceptualized by the Telangana government. Now, the previous Telangana government had invested heavily in this Kaleshwaram Lift Project. What is this lift project? So basically, when we talk about water storage structures, in majority of the cases, the water storage structures are arranged or constructed in such a way that basically water is stored in the storage structure somewhere. And once the gates are opened, the water tends to flow downstream. But in the case of lift irrigation, then and in the lift projects, the water is not situated at a greater height but at a same level. So, with the help of pumps and motors, the water is lifted and that then put into canals. This Kaleshwaram lift project is situated on the river Godavari, and that is why it becomes relevant. This is where the Kaleshwaram project is situated, right? Now, it is very much closer to the region of Telangana Maharashtra boundary, closer to Chhattisgarh as well. So, that is where you have the Kaleshwaram project, situated in the state of Telangana, across river Godavari. River Godavari, on the other hand, also known as Dakshin Ganga, is amongst the longest and the largest of the peninsular river systems. It is a river which drains for more than 1450 kilometers before emptying into Bay of Bengal, forming a very large delta and an estuarine ecosystem in the region of Koringa Wildlife Sanctuary. That is where River Godavari ends up meeting with the sea. Now, this river Godavari drains to the drier areas of Vidarbha and Telangana, and that is why this has got a lot of important storage structures as well. One of this obviously is Kaleshwaram, which has not been completed owing to structural deficiencies. And an inquiry committee, which was set up by the newly appointed government in Telangana, it has found out that this project is already storing much more water than what it was designed for, leading to inefficiencies and a structural damage which renders the entire project inefficient and dangerous as well. But other than that, in the downstream, you also have the Polavaram project, which is again supposed to solve the irrigational issues in the region of the downstream area of River Godavari. Because all of these in the eastern and east central part of India, they are the regions which receive traditionally lesser amount of rainfall, and hence agriculture becomes an issue. So here, River Godavari becomes important. So when we talk about River Godavari, where does it originate from? So it originates in the region of the Western Ghats from the Nashik district in the region around Trambakeshwar. So from Trambakeshwar, it originates and then starts flowing downstream. It is drained by various different river streams from Vardha, Purna, Kabri, then Manjra, Painganga, Indravati, all of these are the tributaries of river Godavari. From this, again, a previous year question is there. A question was asked in the prelims by UPSC where it had named certain streams and asked which of them are tributaries of river Godavari. So these are the important tributaries: Pravara, Purna, Manjara. Manjara is one of those right bank tributaries which joins from the right hand side. And here you have two other important water storage structures across River Manjara, that is basically the Singur water storage structure and also the Nizam Sagar, which are responsible for provision of water and water security in the region of Vidarbh and Telangana, respectively. Then you have Painganga, Vardha, and Vainganga. The confluence and the combined flow of all of these eventually forms the stream Pranhita, and it is the Pranhita which meets with Godavari. Then you have Indravati draining from the region of Chhattisgarh, Maner, and Sabri being the smaller stream. Now, what kind of question can you expect from this? So, a river and a tributary kind of a question can obviously be expected. Other than that, which of these water storage structures are situated along the Godavari river system? Singur, Nizam Sagar, Kaleshwaram, and Polavaram. Select the correct answers and let me know again in the comment section. Always put the question number and accordingly the answer. Then Mount Makalu was also in news. It is one of those peaks which is very difficult to climb. Now, this Mount Makalu, the ITBP team scaled Mount Makalu, which is the fifth highest peak in the world. Where is Makalu situated? So, Makalu is situated on the eastern fringes of the region of Nepal. Okay, this is where Makalu is situated. Mind you, Kanchenjunga furthermore is situated here. Okay, so Makalu is situated in the central portion of the overall classification of Himalayas. When we talk about the entirety of Himalayas, there you will find that this is the region where, very close to it, this is where you will find Makalu. So here you have Everest. To the east of Everest is Makalu. To the east of Makalu is Kanchenjunga. Further to the east, you will have the region around Namcha Barwa, right? Here, further, you have Annapurna, right? Nanda Devi in Uttarakhand, Nanga Parbat. This is the extent and the stretch of Himalayas. So here, east to west kind of question can be expected. Arrange the following peaks of Himalayas from east to west: Nanga Parbat, Annapurna, Namcha Barwa, Kanchenjunga, and Makalu. Take a look at this and let me know the correct answer in the comment section. Then, a couple of protected areas were also in news. So, this will help you understand the national parks and wildlife sanctuaries, what to prepare for. So, Bhimgarh Wildlife Sanctuary was in news. So, where is this Bhimgarh Wildlife Sanctuary situated? So, it is situated in the region of Western Ghats. And here you will find very close to the Karnataka Goa border. That is where the Bhimgarh Wildlife Sanctuary. So, it spans over the Western Ghats in the Belgaum district of Karnataka, declared as wildlife sanctuary in December 2011. It has been named after the Bhimgarh fort, constructed and commanded by Shivaji Maharaj in the 17th century as a defense from the Portuguese army. Shares the boundary to the north with the Dandeli Wildlife Sanctuary, northwest with the Bhagwan Mahavir, that is on the Goa side, Bhagwan Mahavir Sanctuary, and the Molen National Park. Again, all of these on the Goa side, north of Netravati Wildlife Sanctuary, and east of Madei. So, this is where the location is. It forms the headwaters for the number of streams like Malprabha, which again is a part of the Krishna River system. Ghatprabha, Malprabha, these are a part of the Krishna River system. Known for various different caves, right? Where you have the Barapedi caves, known for the breeding area of free tailed bat. So, that is the significance of the Bhimgarh Wildlife Sanctuary. Not only do you have to take a look at the location, the region, the physiography of the area, but also the important species. Another protected area which was in news was the Anamalai Tiger Reserve. Now, Anamalai Tiger Reserve, situated in the western fringes of Tamil Nadu, eventually the contiguous landscape leads into the state of Kerala as well. Now, that is an important protected area of Tamil Nadu. Now, here you will also find a variety of vegetation from shola grasslands to tropical moist deciduous in certain stretches. It was in news owing to the pre monsoon counting of the tigers, estimation of tigers and other animals that started in the Annamalai Tiger Reserve. Now, this is done in order to gain an idea whether the population of tigers have increased or decreased in an area. It is located at an altitude of 1400 meter in the Coimbatore district of Tamil Nadu, located in the southern side of southwestern Ghat landscape, surrounded by important wildlife sanctuaries like the Chinar and the Iraviculam National Park. Now here, you will find the presence of shola, grass hills, and also you will find these areas have been declared, the Annamalai Tiger Reserve, declared as a World Heritage Site by UNESCO. So you have various different communities, tribal communities, like the Kadars, Mudavars, then Malasars, Malay Malasars, Eravalars, and Pulayars. All of them are to be found amongst the vegetation: evergreen, wet evergreen, semi evergreen, moist deciduous, dry deciduous, and some amount of shola. So a wide variety. So you will have large amount of herbivore, and that would be able to support the carnivore. Then another area in news owing to the aspect of internal security was basically the Karigutta Hills. Karigutta Hills, situated in the Bijapur region of Chhattisgarh. Now, there a major Maoist or anti-Maoist operation had been carried out, where 22 Maoists were killed, and including some of the senior members of the Politburo. So that provided the security forces with the much required boost. Now, where are Karigutta Hills situated? So, Karigutta Hills is actually situated in the boundary region of Chhattisgarh and Telangana. That is where it is actually situated. Now, this also marks a reduction in the region of the so called Red Corridor. I hope we are aware that large portions of central and eastern part of the country were impacted by left wing extremist elements. And that would be the contiguous zone, which would be referred to as Red Corridor. Now, in 2013, this was the expanse of the Red Corridor in our country and also some parts of Karnataka, Kerala, and Tamil Nadu. Now, the government had set an aim that by March 2026, we will make India LWE free, that no such districts will be left wing extremist impacted. Now, if you take a look at it, only these 18 districts are impacted by left wing extremist elements. So the government anti-insurgency, or rather the anti-extremist action by the government, has been yielding certain fruits. So thereby, it is important for you to know the location of Karigutta Hills, which is situated at this bordering juncture. Okay? Now, then Niger. In the international countries, major countries in news, Niger was in news owing to the abduction of 5 Indians in the country. So for us, it is important to know where this country of Niger is situated. So Niger basically is situated in the region of the north central portion of Africa. If you take a look at the region of Niger, basically it is a part of the Sahel region of Africa. Sahel region, where you have the transition from desert into grasslands. This is not a very productive area. A lot of barren landscape, reduced productivity, and you have nomadism, which is and pastoralism, which is followed as an occupation. Now here you have Lake Chad, which is the southern part, southeastern part. Now you have the Mount Grebon, which is there, a massive, which is also present, escarpment. So this is a land combined with hilly regions, some portion of the plateau, and some areas where you have plains. That is why nomadism and pastoral activities, they become common. So Western African landlocked country surrounded by other surrounding regions of Algeria, right? And in the northwest, northeast by Libya, east by Chad, to the south by Nigeria and Benin, and west by Burkina Faso and Mali. Capital is Niamey, and country, the name in itself is taken from the Niger River, which drains to the southwestern part of the country. Now, immediately to the south of the country, another region was in news, and that is Nigeria. Nigeria is one of those countries which has gained prominence and recognition again, owing to the reactivation of the activities by Boko Haram and ISIL, due to which there has been a rise of conflict in the region of Nigeria. Nigeria, mind you, is a region which has got a lot of lakes associated and also is a region which is rich in oil productivity. So that is where the population growth is also happening at a tremendous. So these are the countries which end up surrounding Nigeria with its capital at Abuja. Now, here, the topography of Nigeria consists of plains in the north and the south, interrupted by plateaus and the hills. That is the case which is contiguous from Niger as well. Sokoto Plains lie in the northwestern corner of the country, where Borno Plains, so Sokoto and Borno Plains, they are a part of Nigeria. The Lake Chad Basin, we had talked about Lake Chad, and the coastal area and the western part of Sokoto region and far northwest are underlain by soft and young sedimentary rocks, obviously created by subsequent deposits. Now, this is the region of Nigeria. Here you will find Lake Chad, which is situated, and you will find the Niger River. Niger River joined by Benue, and that is where you also have the stream. Okay, so Niger drains through the capital city of Niamey, which is again the area of the country Niger. That is how the country got its name. So this is also where you have a large delta, fertile delta, which is created. You have Gulf of Guinea, which is to the south of Nigeria. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the discussion for this edition of Places in News. Next weekend, we are going to come up again with a compendium of the species in news for the month of May. And then from the next month, every first Saturday, we are going to come up with this place. I hope you have liked the video. If you have gained some content, put that in the comment section below. And don't forget to click on the like, share, and the subscribe button. Till we meet again, take care. Goodbye. Thank you.